Hi, my name is Kurt Aspland, and this is my studio. I'm down here at our local dog park, and today we're going to draw some dogs. So say hello to my new friends, and let's get to drawing. Okay, you guys, anyone want to come home and do some drawing? Here they come. Somebody help me, please. Okay, let's get started here. We're going to start off by drawing a really large rectangle. This is the basis of our large dog in the background. Okay, here we go. And sides are tapered, so it's like a giant trapezoid. Then in front of that dog, I'm going to draw our long-haired other dog. A straight line, and then almost kind of like an arrowhead on the end. Sides coming down. This will be the head of our third dog. Ears coming out the top. Have a slight curve to them. That's a little bit of an eye line. It gives me an idea of where I'm going to put the eyes, and it is curved, so it goes around the surface of the head. Added his nose, and here are the sides. Alright, so we've got 3 dogs here. This is going to be our 4th dog, and he's sleeping in a dog bed. So it's kind of like a giant half circle. The bottom that is flat. This is going to be my cat, and my cat is much smaller. Sort of like a giant trapezoid, just like the big giant dog behind him. Ears straight in the middle, curved on the outside, a center line that helps me to line up where the nose is going to go. And right to the right of him, I'm going to draw my turtle. Another half circle with a little bit of a line to kind of help me determine where the head is. And the head is also a little bit of a half circle. And then his neck coming down, and a couple of his feet underneath. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause the video and then just get caught up. It's okay. The drawing will stay on screen, and you can just make sure that you get all the pieces there. Okay, this is the top of the dog bed. It has a little bit of an S curve. Here I'm putting in the nose. Nose is resting right above his dog bed. There is his head. Ears that are flappy. So these ears are going to fall along the side of his head and rest on top of his dog bed. Couple eyes, his back leg, which is a backwards C shape. Whoa! Hey, if you're liking this video, make sure you subscribe right now below so I can keep making more. You got this. Okay, and then we have added the eye and the smile of the large Large dog in the background, added a tail. His legs will be toward the center. Now we're going to come back into our drawing here and start adding some of the details. A couple ears, where the eyes are going to go. These are all happy dogs. Smiles on their faces. This is their big family portrait. One thing you notice on this dog that we're working on right now is I made his nose to be really small in comparison to the dog right next to him with the big old nose. There's his license, or on his collar. So those are the different things that we want to keep adding to our drawing. We keep wanting to add contrast in size. It makes it interesting to our viewer. Okay, we got the nose of our cat in, and now we're adding the bottom part of his head. In the case of the cat, I decided not to put his eyes anywhere, so his nose is the highest point and kind of gives him a certain air of pride, because he likes to hold his head up so high you can't see his eyes. Dropping in the sides with a couple feet. And I would just keep reminding everyone to draw lightly, because once we have our drawing in place, we will go back in and darken the lines. So make sure you're drawing lightly, and make sure you're drawing kind of big on the page. A teeny tiny drawing makes it very difficult to get a lot of detail in, especially at this point where, as we work on our turtle, the front end of the turtle, his mouth, or that lower part of his head, is sort of like a beak and then comes around. And if you've seen the front of a turtle, his mouth is like a beak. It has a very pointed aspect to it. A couple eyes on either side of his head there, a slight smile. His neck coming down and using a little surface line to give it a curved feel to it. Getting in more details into his feet now with a couple toenails. Toenails are off center onto his shell. Adding some pattern to his shell there. Like I said earlier, if you fall behind, just pause. Take a quick pause. This is supposed to be fun. Don't make it unfun. So it looks like our drawing's coming together here. Now let's jump on our big dog in the back. We're going to add first his license and a little bit of a collar. We're going to move on to his ears. Ears on either side. Getting his nose in now. Working on his mouth, a tongue in place. Circular for eyes. Nostrils for his nose. It's kind of the back end of his muzzle, so his eyes are slightly behind that. And if you notice, I did make sure that he had a very flat head. It's a flat head on top, and that gives us a lot of great contrast with the dog right to his right. That's very rounded in his head. And of course, the third dog in front of the two of them is very angular. Its head very slanted, long, and angular. These things make this drawing look very interesting. Shapes. It's a contrast of different shapes. Okay. As I continue on, I'm adding detail now to our sleeping dog eyes, his nose. And I'm starting to darken in lines. A little bit of hair on top, sticking up. Thinking of maybe spots on his back, big old spots. Yep, darkening in things now that I have all my shapes and ideas together, and just leave that light underdrawing where it is, just draw on top. That gives a drawing a lot of life. I personally like to see that in drawings, is the underdrawing. I'm not a big fan of cleaning things up or hyper-realism. I like it loose. All right, darkening the eyes of the bigger dog here. Yep, coming in now. Darkening my lines. There you go. Back end of his muzzle. Getting that nose now. Flat on top, curved on the bottom. Just bringing back that basic shape, the top of his head, right into the nose there. Makes it interesting. I don't know what those flappy things on the sides of a dog's mouth are. All right, let's go ahead and get his license on his dog collar in. Going to our other dog now and starting to get his eyes in as well, onto his nose. Leaving a little spot of white for the highlight of his nose. Big smile. Bring it right around to get the spot part. And he has a big huge circle or a spot over his eye. That's always kind of fun. His ears. And the other side of his head. Nose of our third dog. The head, which goes right into one of the ears. His back ear. Couple dots for the eyes. Muzzle turns into a mouth. Alright. Now I'm going to try and draw some of these long hairs that this dog has. So they're just giant S curves, and as I draw them, what I'm thinking of is drawing three that are close together, moving a little bit away and drawing three more. Moving a little bit away and drawing three more. Somehow drawing in threes is really helpful as far as getting getting things not to look perfectly symmetrical. So just remember that groups of three is always a good way to draw from, especially when it comes to hair. I'm always thinking of three. Little spots from his nose. I think these are where his whiskers would come out. Seems like dogs have these with less whiskers as opposed to cats. Cats always have big whiskers. Dogs just have a big heart. If you have any ideas for names of these four dogs, cat and turtle, yeah, let me know in the comments. Own dogs and a cat. I've never owned a turtle, but I've seen a lot of people who've had turtles. These little rings around the turtleneck are surface lines. They indicate that they're kind of curved. They go around the neck and they indicate that the neck has volume. Here is the turtle's front foot, and that's going to have some nails on the end there. His toenails. These are all good for digging because he does a lot of burrowing. Back hind leg. A little bit of the back shell there, now coming over to the top. Adding a tail. Getting the bottom. Now working on the pattern. I get my cat now in place. Starting with the outline and working onto his ears. Let's get his nose. A little separation there. A slight curve. Tail in the background. Working on his little collar and license. Feet in front. More hairs on the dog. Sides of the dog here now, and adding his tail. Little spot on the back of his tail. Now I'm just going to add some spots, decorative spots on this dog here, just to give him a different texture, a contrasting texture next to the hairy dog right across the way from him. Short, almost like a terrier, a short spotted terrier. And let's get to our sleeper here, and a big old nose with a little highlight on top, closed eyelids, there he goes, smile because he's probably dreaming of a dog bone or chasing squirrels or something. Yep, there's his other ear in the back. Now a nice long S curve to take care of his bed. A couple hairs on the top of his head. Back side of him. Brings us into the bottom there. All right, there is like a knee and the rest of his foot because he's curled up in a ball, adding his tail, and then his sleeping mat or bean bag or whatever it is, his bed. A couple big old spots, big spot on his leg as well. All right, pause it if you have to, and don't. And if you've gotten to this point drawing wise, make sure that you subscribe and that will help me to keep making, let me know that you're out there, and I can keep making these videos. Next thing we're going to do is just add a little bit of tone, adding just a little bit of tone to our different dogs here to help separate them from each other, because right now there's no tone, and tone will do that. So I'm going to use a little tone in the my dogs there, the ears and the eyes. And as I'm doing this on screen, just FYI, one of my favorite art things to draw with is actually Crayola pencils, believe it or not. I found over the years that lead is really good. It's soft like an art pencil, but not even close to the same cost. And I'm not getting paid by Crayola, but I've just found that that is a great colored pencil that you can quickly turn turn on the edge or the side and just lightly give a tone to some of these animals, some of these dogs here. So the big dog, you can see, has a white, and then the next dog in between has a tone to it, and this will help to get the cat and the turtle to stand off or to separate themselves from the big dog in the back. And I'm going to add a tone to the beanbag, and that will help my sleeping dog to stand off from that. Okay, I hope you, this is going to wrap it up here in just a minute, and I hope you have enjoyed drawing 4 dogs, a cat, and a turtle.